I made it, I made it, I made it.
On the 29th of January 2026, I visited the Hart College of Beauty Services, which is located on 10 Hope Road in Kingston. Once there, I completed an application for Nail Technology PLA, and PLA stands for Prior Learning Assessment. I submitted my application along with a passport size photo and copies of my government issued ID and TRN. I then returned to the Hart College of Beauty Services the following day, the 30th of January 2026, to complete my two-part PLA. So the PLA consists of a theory and a practical assessment. You have to complete the theory aspect of the assessment first, and this consists of 50 multiple choice questions. The pass mark for the theory is 50%, which means that you need to get at least 25 of the 50 questions correct. Once you have successfully passed your theory, you can then continue to the practical aspect of the assessment, which I am currently preparing for in the video. You are provided with a dedicated workstation for you and your client, and you will be working as if you were in a salon setting. You will need to come in with your own tools, equipments, and model for your practical assessment, which needs to be completed within 2 hours. As a nail technician, in all my 10 plus years, I have only come across Pseudomonas twice, and the last instance was over 2, maybe 3 years ago. And so that is why it is so important to keep abreast with all the terminologies and the important natural nail care aspects of being a nail technician, because full transparency, I was not sure what to do because I could not recall the information that I learned. And so I was more concerned with not thinning out her natural nails than removing the Pseudomonas in its entirety. So, what is Pseudomonas? Pseudomonas is a bacteria which is also known as a Greenies, and it starts off very light yellow, very faint, and then the green gets progressively darker as it starts to come in until it turns black. Um, the greenies that my model had were very, very light, so they weren't bad greenies, as it were, not intense. But regardless, what I was supposed to do here in the video was to file away the greenies. And how do you do that? Well, first, you want to ensure that you do not cause any discomfort to the client. So, because you're filing the natural nail plate, you want to file and take breaks. And you do this until you have completely removed the Pseudomonas, aka Greenies. Pseudomonas is a bacteria which is formed when moisture gets trapped in air pockets that have been formed underneath enhancements which have been placed on top of the natural nail plate. This can occur by incorrect prep work, improper application, or advanced grow out. In my client's case, based on the consultation that we, she mentioned that her Greenies basically came from her applying press-ons using glue. Sometimes, depending on the type of glue that you use when applying press-ons at home, it may not bind the natural nail plate to the enhancement. And so, with this improper application, air pockets will form in the form of bubbles. You will see little bubbles, especially if it's a light color press on. You will see it much more than something that's opaque, of course. Um, and so, with those air pockets over time, you may notice little water droplets, and that is moisture that has gotten caught under that lifted nail area, and that is what the Pseudomonas bacteria will thrive in. It will start as a faint yellow until the green starts to come through, which may also sometimes have a little tint of brown, and it gets progressively darker until it eventually gets black if left untreated. As I mentioned to my client after this set, I reached out to her and I let her know, hey, I went wrong during the assessment. I should have removed the greenies in its entirety. If it's okay with you, I would love to work with you for a few weeks so that we can remove the acrylics from the nails that had the greenies. We will ensure that it has been removed properly in its entirety and then reapply the acrylics. Once I have finished working with you, if you wish to return to your press-ons, I'm open to consulting with you to help you to find better adhesion products because the glue, it may be that the glue is not what's best for the press-ons that she's using. So we're gonna try to find some better adhesion product to adhere her press-ons if she wishes to go back to press-ons. Because during the assessment, she told me that it was actually her first time doing acrylics. And so she was able to come in and see me the following Friday, which was actually the 6th of February 2026. I removed the acrylics from those fingers free of charge, and I did not have to remove the acrylics in its entirety. I removed the acrylics from the spot where the greenies were and that surrounding area just to do a complete assessment to ensure that the greenies had not spread and grown out, which they hadn't, and that was great. So I went in, I filed, took breaks so that there wouldn't be any discomfort because with progressive filing in one spot, you will produce heat, which will cause discomfort to your client, and we do not want that. So, even though I made a mistake on my part during my assessment by not completely removing the Pseudomonas from her natural nails, we rectified that in exactly 1 week from that date, and she now has healthy, thriving nails. What I plan to do is on our last appointment, whenever that is, I am going to offer her a free full set. I'm going to remove the acrylics from all her nails, do a complete assessment just to double and triple check everything. I'm going to apply a fresh set to her nails, and that will be it. If she wants to continue working with me and become a client, that's perfectly fine. But for the time being, for the next few weeks, she's going to be working with me free of charge. She wants to go back to her press-ons. I'll be consulting with her free of charge so that we can find the best adhesives for her press-ons. So it is okay if you make a mistake. As a nail technician, we're all human. The most important thing is that you're humble and honest with your clients about rectifying those mistakes, because we want to ensure natural nail care first, enhancement second. For my assessment, I wanted to display versatility, and so I opted to do tips on her right hand and form on her left. However, none of the tips were a perfect fit for the thumb on the right hand, and so I formed the thumb on the right hand only and tips on the remaining four fingers. But I have to say that forms are my favorite method for extensions when sculpting acrylic. It's a one size fits all on light tips, but just go with what works best for you. I'm not knocking tips at all. After buffing the natural nails, I'm going in with sizing the tips.
Maybe I should be out this with there. This is what I hate about tips. The sizing of it is ridiculous. When you have a farm is one fit all. You know what I'm talking? No. I'm gonna show you. I feel like I'm gonna do farm and tips. Strength. This one off the file. That one a little big. Alright. So with form, the only thing you have to do is just put it on one fit all. So I could do half tips and half form. The versatility of form is that, I'm sorry, I just get excited when I'm talking about this stuff. Yeah. So that's what you do when you're doing a form. But when you're doing tips, I think I'm gonna do half form, half tips. And then when you finish, you take it off and you just throw it away.
So here I asked my model to interlock her fingers while I sprayed IBD's nail prep. So the reason why I opted to do half form, half tips, it wasn't a requirement in the assessment. It was just because I wanted to display my versatility, and that's the only reason. Don't feel pressured to do the same thing because you don't have to. I just opted to do that. I can't speak for anybody else, but I have to say that it was a truly rewarding experience. Like, it was, I had so much fun, probably too much fun. I was the only person, literally, I was the only person in the entire assessment room that was giggling. I was giggling the whole time. I genuinely, I tried to make light of everything because there were so many things that were working against me. I'll probably do a follow-up, just a sit down chat, and maybe answer some questions that you guys may have. But I kid you not, I had a ball of a time. A time was had. Yes, a time was had for sure. And then I went in with the dehydrator from IBD. And then I followed up with the Mia Secret No Burn Acid Free Extra Bond Primer. And this product is for acrylic and UV gels.
If I use too much of this or get it too close to the skin, it might cause. So I prefer to use less than normal. I'm going into the bottom way too much.
I then went in with my professional liquid monomer from Supernail, and the acrylic powder that I use for this set was a custom colored acrylic by me. The reason why I did not remove the number display from the end of the tips is simply because I've experienced in the past when using short tips like these, if you apply too much pressure, especially with just the tip being adhered to the natural nail with glue, it might pop off, and that may cause damage to the natural nail plate. So I prefer to leave it. But what I really should have done was use my clippers to clip them off while holding on to the portion of the tip that was already on the natural nail plate, if that makes sense. But I didn't do that. No one was harmed. Um, but I will do that next time.
So this is the one that I'm going to form. See, I just tilt it, yeah.
Pro tip: when you are going to apply forms to the natural nail, if possible, during your prep work, leave a little bit of the natural nail. Don't file it all away so that you can have something to tuck the form under. Because as you can see, I was struggling to fit the form under here. I didn't remove anything, by the way. She likes to keep her nails fairly short, and so she already had her nails at that length when we met. So there was nothing that I could do about it. But if when you are going to try working with forms, sorry, just leave a little bit of that natural nail growth there so that you can place your forms more easily under the natural nail before you start sculpting with acrylic. And here I'm going in with this absolutely gorgeous, stunning pink. I think it's the best pink that I've ever created. I'm so in love with it. And to do the application, I'm using my brush from Pana. You can buy this brush on Amazon.
But I made sure that I learned both just in case. And here we go. Because they say they want tips. What you doing? What's that we're doing this? Because she up there, so. they spoke about it on the test. It was mentioned on the test. So I just want to fill in this bit right here on the side. And a tiny bead. The numbers on these 100. 100 should be good still.
So here I'm going in with another custom colored acrylic. Most of my acrylics are custom colored, so you're going to get accustomed to hearing me saying that a lot in my videos. So I'm going in with this acrylic powder. This acrylic powder is actually glow in the dark. And for this aspect of the assessment, we were instructed to create the French design using acrylic. So I went in with the first pink, um, and then I shaped it up off camera using my hand file, just to perfect the French shape. And then I went in for the other portion of the French using this glow in the dark pink. I am repeating the same process on the index finger here.
If you need your phone charge, I have power bank in here. Yeah. I have iPhone and Android.
And going in with my brush to define the shape and ensure that I do not have any acrylic seeping into the cuticle area. The more you focus on getting a smooth acrylic application, then the easier your file process will be and the less time it will take as well.
Farms are my forever favorite, honestly. Very, very partial to farms. Alright, I'm gonna complete this hand. How much is it? I'm fine, let's stress out this stuff. I didn't want to clip them a while before I did the acrylic because sometimes based on how much pressure you apply, the glue might pop up. More. You can look on that too as well.
My model is a short nail girly, and that's why it's so important to check in with your clients, because it's not just about doing a consultation before the service begins. Sometimes you have to be consulting during the service as well. Because if you notice, I file them down a little bit, and I checked in with her, and she wanted them to go down a little bit more. She said, "Look, a drop." So, I went in and I did that because, of course, you have to ensure that your client receives the results that they're looking for, because they are the ones that will be wearing the set. So we try to ensure at all times that our client is comfortable and satisfied.
Yeah. You think we're gonna hour already?
I think so.
And here I'm going in with my Glossit UV LED Not Polish top coat. It's a gel top coat. It's a non-wipe top coat. It doesn't yellow, and I just love this stuff. It's my latest obsession.
I'll clean up brush. 1 second. Come inside another bag.
When applying your gel top coat, please be mindful so that you do not get any flooding in the cuticle area. And if you do, you can just replicate what I'm doing in this video by going in with a nail art brush and using it to just clean up the cuticle area. And what you have to remember is that when the gel gets into the seeps into the cuticle area, and you set your client under the lamp to cure the nails, what will happen is that um from the gel while the gel is curing, what's going to happen is it's going to produce heat in that area, and it's going to burn your client, and it is absolutely not um good. It's very painful. um and so you want to try as best as possible to clean up the cuticle area, clean up the side walls, and that way you will ensure that your client does not experience any discomfort. You might find that they do still feel a bit of a burning sensation in the nail plate area. We may not be able to avoid that, but at least for the cuticle area, for the sidewalls, just make sure that you do your cleanup before putting their hand under the lamp. Um, and that way we'll eliminate discomfort as best as possible for our clients.
My dear, you can pop it in the lamp. Just careful not to bump. Yeah, man. I'm going to put it on this side. Make more sense, eh? The card. Here we go. This side. Good. Good. under the lamp. Alright, so you are actually the first person to use my cuticle oil. So it's a new product that I have that I'm gonna be just literally brand new. Oh. So this is my cuticle pen. It's 100% organic jojoba oil. You can literally drop it in your purse. If you have Birkin bag, you can drop it in there. So you can take it anywhere with your razor being over time with exposure to the sun and stuff like that. That's how your nails gonna look. So you just wind it up if you're not getting enough coming down, and you just moisturize. And I do under as well, just because.
My 100% organic jojoba oil is now available for purchase and is available in 3 different sizes, 2 dropper bottle sizes, and 1 cuticle pen. So if you want to place your order so that you can drop it in your Birkin bags, feel free to send me a DM. It's TILNALEB, TILNALEB on all platforms. So TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, you can message me there. I offer island-wide shipping via Knutsford Express. Bearer charges to Knutsford will also apply. And if you are international, I also do international shipping via the selected company of your. This is the finished result. We brainstormed the design together because we had to make sure to tie in the assessment guidelines along with the design. Fast forward to February 3rd, 2026. The results are in. Not only did I pass, but I aced it. I got a really good score. Number 1 is my grade. However, TRN, which stands for tax registration number here in Jamaica, I cannot disclose our tax registration numbers. So that's why I opted to bleep that part out. But if you are interested in working with me, if you want to do some consultation on your natural nail care, if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. If you would like to make an appointment to benefit from my nail services, acrylic or natural, feel free to send me an email at trishaislearningnails@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.